The restaurant was loud with laughter, clinking glasses, and the low hum of expensive conversations that never meant what they sounded like. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above polished marble floors, and men in tailored suits leaned back in velvet chairs as if they owned not only the room, but the entire city beyond its glass windows. At the center of it all sat Alessandro Moretti, the man newspapers called a businessman and whispers called something else. To the world, he was a powerful entrepreneur with investments stretching from shipping docks to skyscrapers. To those who truly knew the city, he was the shadow that kept chaos in check. His presence alone commanded silence, but tonight, even he seemed distant, lost in thought as he stirred his untouched espresso. Then the silence broke in a way no one expected. A tray crashed to the floor, plates shattering like brittle secrets. Heads turned sharply. A young waitress stood trembling beside a table, her face pale as snow, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she struggled to breathe. And then, in a broken whisper that somehow echoed across the entire restaurant, she sobbed, "I can't close my legs, it hurts." The words froze the air. Some guests looked away in discomfort. Others exchanged curious glances. A few smirked cruelly, assuming scandal. But Alessandro did not smirk. He did not look away. He rose slowly from his seat, the scrape of his chair against the floor sounding louder than the shattered plates. He walked toward her, every step deliberate, every movement controlled. The manager rushed forward, attempting to apologize, to drag the girl away before she embarrassed the establishment further. Alessandro raised a hand, and the manager fell silent immediately. The girl's name was Sofia. She had been working double shifts for weeks, trying to pay for her mother's medical treatment. No one in the restaurant knew that earlier that evening, before her shift began, she had been cornered in the alley behind the building by a group of men who believed power meant entitlement. She had escaped, but not without injury. She had forced herself to work through the pain because she needed the money. And now her body had given out in front of everyone. Alessandro knelt in front of her, ignoring the stunned gasps of wealthy patrons unaccustomed to seeing him lower himself for anyone. His voice, when he spoke, was not the cold steel people feared. It was steady and quiet. "Who did this?" he asked. Sofia shook her head, afraid. Fear wasn't new to Alessandro. He recognized it like an old acquaintance. He removed his suit jacket and draped it gently over her shoulders. "You're safe," he said firmly. Those words alone shifted something in the room. He ordered his driver to bring the car around and personally escorted Sofia out of the restaurant, ignoring the whispers that followed. At the hospital, he ensured she received immediate treatment from the best doctors money could command. He stayed in the waiting room long after his associates urged him to leave. They did not understand why he cared so much about a waitress. But Alessandro understood pain. Years ago, he had lost his younger sister to violence born of arrogance and unchecked power. He had built his empire not only for wealth, but to control the darkness that once destroyed his family. And now that darkness had touched Sofia. When she awoke, he was sitting beside her hospital bed. She looked confused, then frightened. "Why are you helping me?" she asked weakly. Alessandro paused before answering. "Because someone should have helped my sister," he said quietly. That night, he promised her two things: her mother's medical bills would be paid in full, and whoever hurt her would never hurt anyone again. Word spread quickly across the city. The men responsible disappeared within days. No headlines reported it. No police statements were made. But in certain circles, the message was clear. There were lines even monsters were not allowed to cross. Back at the restaurant, patrons spoke of what they had witnessed: not violence, not revenge, but compassion from a man they had only feared before. Something changed in the city that night. For the first time, people began to wonder if the man they called a mafia boss was also its unlikely guardian. And as Sofia recovered, she realized that sometimes strength comes not from power, but from someone choosing to stand beside you when you are at your weakest. If this story is already touching your heart, stay with us, because what happens next will show you that even in the darkest corners of the world, humanity can still shine. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another unforgettable journey. Sophia returned home 2 weeks later, walking carefully but with her head held higher than before. Her mother's surgery had been scheduled, fully funded without explanation. The hospital staff treated them with unusual respect. Fear had once controlled Sophia's world: fear of losing her job, fear of unpaid bills, fear of powerful men who believed they were untouchable. But something had shifted inside her. Alessandro did not visit every day, but he ensured she had security and support. When he finally came to see her at her small apartment, he did not arrive with an entourage. He came alone. He looked different outside the fine suits and luxury restaurants, less like a legend, more like a man carrying invisible weight. "You don't owe me anything," he told her when she tried to thank him. "The world owed you protection." Sophia studied him carefully. "People say you're dangerous," she said softly. Alessandro gave a faint smile. "Sometimes danger is necessary to stop worse dangers." Meanwhile, across the city, other restaurant workers began speaking up about mistreatment they had endured in silence. Sophia's story, though names were never mentioned, spread as a quiet symbol of courage. Employees who once felt invisible began demanding safer working conditions. Managers who once ignored complaints suddenly paid attention.